Before you hire a virtual assistant to help grow your business, here are 10 things you need to look at. The first one is, what do you charge for yourself hourly? What is your hourly rate? If you're worth $100 an hour, the first thing we're gonna hire out, we're gonna divide that by 4. Quarter of that is $25. Anything that you can pay somebody $25 an hour or less, $15 to do, you're going to stop doing it. You're never gonna do it anymore. You're gonna hire it out to do it. And so with virtual assistants, we start with the less expensive tasks first, paperwork, processing, and then we grow from there, editing videos, etc. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna look at how much we make per hourly. We're gonna divide it by a quarter, 25%, and in everything that we can pay somebody that amount and less, we're gonna stop doing it. The next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna write down every task that you're currently doing. And you're gonna identify what you can assign to that virtual assistant and what you need to hire. So we've got the dollar amount, the $25. If you're a $100 an hour employee, everything $25 and less. And then we're gonna write down what we do for a couple days. Every time you do a new task, how long it takes and what it does. And then that's what you're gonna take to come up with the tasks for your virtual assistant to do. And you're gonna have an expectation. So that's the third thing. You're gonna have the expectations based on the hours it takes and everything you've done prior, that you're gonna be able to assign that to a virtual assistant to be done. And just like with any position, you should be hiring based on some type of personality or testing that shows what your employee, what your worker is gonna be good at and what is their strengths. Because we don't want somebody who's a personable person to basically sit and work by themselves all day and with no interaction. So you want to make sure that you're identifying what are strengths, what are their natural strengths, because anybody can do any job for a certain amount of time, but how can we get them to grow? So the easiest one that most people use is the DISC personality profile. So you have DISC. A D is a driven person, an I is a social person, kind of like a sales, an S is more steady, and a C is more detailed oriented, where every detail is done. So you want to make sure that you're matching the positions no matter what personality testing that you're using, but you want to make sure it matches and assign the VA appropriately. So one of the big questions that I always get with somebody hiring a virtual assistant for the first time is, are they trustworthy? How do you identify that? And if you're going out on your own and you're just gonna go to some random company, or not a company, but a website, a Facebook group, and you're just gonna hire somebody, you're just kind of guessing. So what we do is when we first started, we had a company. The company or bring in the resumes, would do a little bit of training with them, make sure their computer was strong enough, their workstations were good. And so that's what, especially when you're first starting, I recommend everybody use some type of staffing company to help you with hiring virtual assistants, because they're gonna identify, just so you know, it's about 1,000 applicants to one that you're actually gonna hire. If you have time to sort through 1,000 resumes, if you have time for 4, 5, 10 of them to start your training, and then of those, one, maybe if you're lucky, 2 will make it through the training where you can actually have them work for you, then do it yourself. But the time that it takes, and like, again, we're talking about, we've said it earlier, on the first thing we're doing is figuring out what your hourly rate is. Is like, well, if you already know that you can hire a company and you're not paying them $100 an hour, or you're not even paying them $25 an hour to hire, why are you doing that for yourselves? Again, we always want to go back to that baseline of where you're at and what you're doing. And then the next thing is you want to establish communication. So the communication, whether you want to use WhatsApp, Google Chat, I don't really like Facebook, but sometimes people use Facebook, and how you're going to communicate with them. You're going to set meetings just like you would set a meeting. So if it's every Tuesday, if it's every day, 10 to 10:15, go over what you want done. The communication needs to be clear, just like they were in-house. If they were working right beside you, you would talk to that person. You want to do the same with your virtual assistant. And that's kind of where there's a kind of a disconnect, there is a disconnect where out of sight, out of mind, and that's not really what you want to have. For trainings, you want to use Loom or Zoom. For training, you just want to make sure that you're videotaping everything that you're doing. So if that's what you do, is you have a Loom video, you have a Zoom video, you hit record, you share your screen, you do it so that they can have a reference point to go back. Because yes, you're going to train them on it, but they may learn it on a Wednesday and they may not actually have to do it till the next Tuesday, and they're going to forget some step in there. So you always want to have that basics of the video, but also you want to have a process map. So a map that shows the steps and everything that needs to be done, so that the point of a process map for training is if I can bring somebody in and they'll know exactly how to proceed with the project or the task or the meeting structure, how everything's done, so you can bring somebody in from the outside. So rule number 8, or tip number 8 is you're hiring them. They have a skill set, let them do it. You probably don't want to micromanage, because then it's just not going to work, because they're not going to be happy, you're not going to be happy. So you bring them in, you let them do their, whether it's editing videos, whether it's the administrative tasks, you let them do the work, and then you're going to review it, of course, but like you want to let them learn and grow with you, as opposed to trying to control every little thing and getting them, oh, you need to ask me for this, you need to ask me for that. So you want them to learn just like a regular employee, whether they're sitting beside you or whatever else. And that's the big thing we want to talk about, is make sure they're just like a regular employee. The next thing is we want to set an actual time, like when they're going to come in. Is it 9 a.m. Eastern to 6 p.m. Eastern, when they're going to take their break, just like you would do a regular person. Okay, are you going to take an hour break at lunch? So you're going to take your break from 1 p.m. Eastern to 2 p.m. Eastern. From this time, this is what you're going to do. When you come in the morning, I'm going to have you check my emails. I'm going to have you make phone calls. I'm going to have you pull down all the raw files, take in all the new leads. You're going to have a set framework of how you want everything to proceed, just like you would anybody else. And that's going to help you and help the virtual assistant succeed and help your business grow. And then the final thing is constant feedback. Good or bad, you want to give them feedback on, yes, this was really good. No, we probably need a little more work on this. Whatever the feedback is, you want to kind of have that constant flow of communication so that they understand that they are helping you and you're helping them, and it's a reciprocal where they're going to feel appreciated. You're going to be glad they're there. You're going to be making more money doing tasks that you want to do, and they're going to be helping you, and they're going to be able to pay for their family as well. So you just want that constant feedback. You want to bring them in the meetings. You want to ask them for what they would recommend, and anything that you could help with. And if they see something, you want them to give you that. If you have a virtual assistant, or you want to have a virtual assistant, what other tips would you recommend for somebody to actually provide to help better, or help to hire a better one? If you could hire a better one, what would they be? We've gone over 10 tips to help you in terms of, 1, make your virtual assistant be productive, but 2, also help you grow. Write them all down, use some of them, use all of them. But these are ways to help that we've been using for years and years to help us all run all our companies virtually.